everybody, it's Kira and welcome back to my channel. So today I have my December wrap-up. I read a lot of really good books, some okay books, but a couple of really good books in December. So I'm here to share them with you and finish off my last wrap-up of 2018. So the first book I finished in the month of December was The Fandom by Anna Day, I think it is. This is just like a really fun, interesting book about a group of friends who go to a Comic-Con and then actually end up in the world that they are going to Comic-Con for. So they have to figure out how to interact with the characters and keep the story going, and yeah, it was very interesting. It wasn't my favorite book of all time. I think it was like a 3-star read. I think I enjoyed Geekerella better than I did this one, but I read it in like the span of 2 days or something like that. So it was a really fast thing to read, and it was, again, kind of enjoyable, but like nothing earth-shattering or anything. There were a lot of pop culture references, which are really fun, and yeah, it was just enjoyable to see how the main character was trying to continue the story while seeing some changes happening. And I did like how the whole thing ended. I think that I brought everything together very well, but I do believe there's going to be a sequel, and I don't think I will read it. It was just kind of like an enjoyable book for the moment, but nothing that I blew my mind or anything. And then the next book that I read is called Marked by Jordan Page Sudduth. If you don't know, Jordan is an awesome YouTuber. She's not a YouTuber. She's an awesome person in general, first of all. But she makes short films on YouTube, and she's going to film school next year for college, which is insane. But she did write 2 books. This is the first one of them. And it was, I don't know how I feel about it, because I love Jordy as a person and I love her work. But I didn't really like this book. Part of it was just the format, because it's like a big floppy, it reminds me of like a coloring book. And then the fonts changed throughout the book. So you have this font, So you have this font, but then you also have this font. And so it just it made it very confusing for me, and I didn't think the story was that great. Now, given this was written when she wrote this when she was 15 or 16 or something like that, so I understand that it's not going to be her best work. I am interested in getting the sequel just because I want to support her and kind of know what happens to the characters. And I can tell that it's inspired a little bit from The Darkest Minds, because she loves that series. And so there are definitely elements that I could see The Darkest Minds-esque in. But I mean, Jordy is an amazing filmmaker, so I will link her channel for her films down below. She's a really good actress, and then she also makes films, and she has a Harry Potter film, which was so fun. And she created a web series. She's an amazing person. This book wasn't my favorite, but I mean, I'm glad that I read it and could support her. And next up, I read A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro. This is the first book in the Sherlock Holmes series, I think, and I too want to read the next book because this is really fun. So this is kind of a Sherlock Holmes, in a way, retelling, but not. Charlotte Holmes is the great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter of Sherlock Holmes or something like that. And the main character we're following is Jamie Watson, who has recently moved from London to New Jersey to go to a boarding school where he meets Sherlock Holmes. And it was just a really cool murder mystery book, and it was kind of, I don't know the actual Sherlock Holmes stories at all. I've never read them. I have seen the show Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, and I really love that show. But it was just a cool fun murder mystery book to read, and I enjoyed the more modern and teenage version of it because they were characters that I could relate to at least a little bit more. And it did take me a little bit to get into it, but once I did, I was into it. And I'm really excited to continue reading the series, hopefully this year. And then I read a book that made it to my favorites list, but I read it later, so it wasn't on my actual favorites list, so I'll link the video where I talk about it in detail, and that is A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. This book is so amazing. I can't believe that I made my favorites list before the end of the year. It was just such a dumb move for me. This is a historical Christian fiction book following 4 different characters during the time of the Romans, and the main character is Hadassah, and she is a 16 and 17-year-old girl who is a Christian, but she is a slave to this family, and you just follow her journey, her struggle to share her faith, and it's so beautifully written. The romance is so good, and the characters are just all amazing, even though one of them is an unlikable character, but like, you understand in a way where she's coming from, and you can kind of see her getting influenced by other people, and you're like, no, Julia, don't do that. But it's just so good, and it ends on a cliffhanger. I cannot wait to read the second book, and oh, it was so amazing. And lastly, I finished on New Year's Eve, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I've been listening to the audiobook of this for months. It is like a 20-hour audiobook, and so it has taken me forever to listen to it. I have read it before, but not in a really, really long time, probably since like 7th grade or something. So I decided randomly to reread it on audiobook. And I only had like 8 minutes left or 5 minutes left or something on New Year's Eve, and I was like, I'm gonna finish this before the new year. So I did. And this follows the story of the March family and the sisters specifically, and I mean, I can see why it's a classic. It's a good classic. It's so fun, and like, Jo is such a relatable character, and it was just so cool. And I'm going to hopefully see some of the movie adaptations of the book, because I don't think I've ever seen a movie adaptation. I have seen the musical once because my friend was in it. She played Beth. I did not remember a lot of the things that happened in the book. The only thing that I could remember was the thing that happens to that one character who dies. Like, that was literally all I could remember about the book. So I was pleasantly surprised at like all of the other little things that happened in this book, and I'm just so happy to have finished it before the start of 2019. So those are all of the books that I read in the month of December. Comment down below, let me know if you've read any of these books. Which adaptation of Little Women is your favorite? I'd love to know so that I can make sure to watch that one first. So that's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to follow me on social media, all my links are in the description as always. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!